where after that, potentially things are getting cataclysmic. And so I'll be honest with you, Dad, a lot of my friends, they just feel as if, what's the point? Because the world's burning and there's nothing I can do. And I said to her...
Pause it for 1 second. I just want, well, I'm getting a lot of vibes. I've not seen this clip, but I'm getting a lot of vibes of Jerry Seinfeld complaining when his kid came back from college. And Jerry Seinfeld then, becoming for years dedicating his life to I can't do my gay king bit at colleges. College kids have gotten, I can tell this because of my own sort of failings as a father. When you make the point of the age of your kid in that way, she's 24. In other words,
let me tell you something.
And she's coming now. If you're going to your dad, who was the president for 8 years, and you're saying, all my friends feel completely bleak about this major issue, it wasn't just sort of hey, Dad, I just off the top. It's why didn't you do anything, man? Why didn't you do anything? How could you do nothing?
Yeah.
And
the context is probably a little different than the average political debate at dinner.
Different conversation.
Right?
I'm sure it's almost like when Seinfeld's kid comes back from college and he's like, Dad, you can't keep doing that gay king joke. It's not funny. It's rude, and oh God, that's the vibe I'm getting here. Just because I get I've been there.
They just feel as if, what's the point? The world's burning and there's nothing I can do. And I said to her, well, she asked me, what should I say to them?
Right.
And what I said to her is, look, we may not be able to cap temperature rise to 2 degrees centigrade. But here's the thing. If we work really hard, we may be able to cap it at 2.5 instead of 3. Or 3 instead of 3.5. That extra centigrade, that might mean the difference between whether Bangladesh is underwater.
Right.
It might make the difference as to whether 100 million people have to migrate,
right,
or only a few.
Right. And these incremental changes
that matters.
Yeah, I see. What
it makes a difference.
Sure.
And
it's worth fighting for. And
it's worth fighting for.
And you can't descend into nihilism and not try to save those 100, 200, 300 million people. It matters.
That's a lot of people.
I agree with, yeah, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
But the reason that there is nihilism is because you are already conceding that we are unable to stop this and that we have to do enlightened centrism about the burning of the planet.
Here's the thing that bothers me about this is that and I'm trying to separate it from my knowledge of what his post-presidency has been and what his presidency was. But there is only really one response for someone my age or his age, and particularly, with the role that he played in our society.
Yeah.
And that is when your kid comes to you at that moment is to say, I'm sorry. We effed up.
Mm-hmm.
We effed up. And it is unclear how bad this is going to get. And then you can go into, you got to keep fighting because it's all going to be about mitigation. And it's going to mean the difference between 1 billion lives or maybe 2 billion lives or 1 billion lives and 100. We don't know, but we effed up because you need to communicate the failure that we have already undergone to stop this from happening.
But he can't do that because his ego is tied into it. The nihilism is setting in, dear Mr. President, because you did not act in that way. And so when you say we may not be able to cap at 2 or even 3 degrees centigrade, the nihilism is a result of that kind of passivity. And so, anytime anyone in my generation and older is asked, what do we,
my friends are afraid. And the first thing has to be an acknowledgement of like, that's not an irrational fear. But there are things that you can do that can mitigate what happened, but we effed up. Don't you know, like you guys got to take control and in many respects, not listen to your dad.
That's the problem is like the biggest problem with is what he says is this infantilized language of we just got to work hard. What is that? Was that what you did? Were you working hard? We just got to continue the hard work you were doing because like from my perspective, you didn't do like what was Obama's climate legacy?
Right.
We'll all be okay except for the millions that die and starve. And it's just like this general, like that attitude is what feeds nihilism. That is what's so ironic about that answer.
Yeah, like because it doesn't, like nihilism, lack of meaning. When Obama says we just got to continue working hard, that creates nihilism because that's not what I understand words to mean.
Right.
We've got to do something a little more specific than just,
Yeah, like maybe
jog harder
the
on
fossil fuel
on the
companies.
treadmill. Right.
Yeah.
Like get tangible. This is what I failed to do as president. I failed to create these benchmarks. I failed to be able to convince it, you know, like the vague generalities.
We got this. Go back as you were.
Yeah.
There's always just this like ineffable, nebulous, like it's probably fine.
There has
attitude.
arguably not been a president for for 35 and younger, for 40 and younger people, or a political figure who has been more of a figurehead for nihilism for younger generations than Obama, who ran on hope and change and then had this kind of attitude as in governance.
And how those ideas of hope and change sort of like hollowed out when he became president.
Yeah.
You were right. That was a good clip, Matt.
It gets me.
It gets me mad. Yeah.
It gets me mad. Work harder? What the F does that mean?
Roll your sleeves up. Try to get this TPP passed.
You know how you go into your job at 9? Yeah. Head in at 8:15.
To stop climate change.
Stop climate change.
It's kind of Bush and Obama.
Well, I can't do Obama. I just do Bush.
Go
I
into
do the
work.
one president. I mean,
Look, it's,
Roll up your sleeves.
to go play basketball. No, we'll stop climate change.
don't kneel.
Well, maybe. Oh yeah. Don't kneel. Jesus.
Go in half hour early. Stay a half hour later at work. Instead of making 5 phone calls, make
Figure out where you
10.
can be more valuable to the company. Climate change will be solved.
Ugh. I didn't need that. I didn't need that at all.